Good afternoon. This will be a microscopic examination of 4 slides, similar to the one that you've taken like yesterday or yesterday morning. Pretty similar, but not exactly the same consistencies. And main difference is that now I use just 3 containers. That one, this one, 2 big ones, because we have more success with that, if you remember. And also this one that is still burning, which is much smaller and hotter, because we've added like the cook charcoal, זה חלים שנרגיל הוספתי לזה, כדי שזה יהיה עוד יותר חם מהרגיל. And also, the burning is like, and there is like less material, so you have to replenish oil all the time. So it was burned for quite a bit. We've added like, a little bit of magnification arcs. And I've tried to construct like, these things with like, to be like thinner than yesterday, so we don't have like the focus problem. So there is actually the difference between the 2 big ones is that this one, the one contains much more sodium bicarbonate than the other. Let's see if we see any difference. But all contains a little bit of sodium bicarbonate. And there are 2 samples from like the tuna can sample, just because it's interesting, so I've taken 2. Let's do it quickly, just to see, inspect size and quantity. If the results will be, hopefully there will be good results, even better than what we've seen like in the previous examination. Then we will commence to the to another kind of examination. This one that will be focused just on germs from like cultures, and maybe even like bigger than that. Also, I have a culture of like things that are a little bit bigger than that, and maybe if all is well, we'll do yet a third. Maybe hopefully all of that will be this evening. Yet a third examination of of the germs with the neos and I would say the little, I don't even know what it is, like little disgusting things that are bigger than germs. Maybe we'll inspect, we'll try to understand what exactly is like when we get there. Anyway, these cannot be, placed on a microscopic slide like the bigger creatures. It should be placed on a petri dish made of glass that can be used with microscope. I have one such that it's not, manufacturer, it's not used for that, but I have a little bit of experience there with the petri dish that you can place it somewhat under the microscope and like actually observe, like, if you clean it very well, you can observe stuff, and this allows, much, with this we can actually, place like the bigger creatures without them, just swimming out of the, we want them alive, like, we want them alive, and then we can think about how energizing, can be done for the famous Colosseum. But this is like ambitious. So we'll start with just watch, inspect the slides, see that actually, hopefully we'll have like a good amount of neos, and then continue with the design of the Colosseum, which will be kind of like a new thing. Even though I've done it in the past, but not in a dramatic way, mostly like in a more kind of like a slow way. And such thing were common like in the beginning of the study, like in the first those a couple of dozens of the videos in this channel, like the January 2023. But now it's a little bit different. But okay, let's just take a look at what we have in our hands. So we will actually start with the one that is not that rich in like the big container, but not the one with particularly large amount of sodium bicarbonate. Just a moment, please. Just a moment. all of course stained with the red stain, everything. Why I didn't find like the metal in blue bottle. I don't know where it disappeared, which is a shame, but I mean that's the way it is. Okay, just a moment. So it's here now. And so let's see what we can make out of it. השכנים עושים סימנים, רמזים, תודה רבה לשכן, על הסימן ועל הרמז שהוא נותן לעבד. העבד לא זקוק לסימן, העבד לא זקוק לסמל, לא, ממש לא. יד ורגל העבד זקוק לא לסימן ולא לסמל. Okay, so let's continue, try to avoid like, the usual symbology of the wonderful Nazis. Actually not that good. You don't see many. Oh, we see huge ones, okay. These are huge ones. This is 64 magnification. Okay. That's another, I mean all of these are huge ones actually. They are very big and fat. Not all of these are Nero, some are dads, but these are, to the left, to the top, these are certainly Neros. Maybe that just, it's possible that just the big ones are more visible because the way that it's constructed, because we do see very big ones that we did not see yesterday, like in the previous examination, but were all the smaller ones. Might be that, the language just works, as intended. That's an option that, or maybe the smaller ones are hiding in deeper layers, so we need to zoom. This is 64 magnification. These are certainly the starship that that were missing yesterday. Not missing, but that I wanted like yesterday. That's that's what I intended. So maybe let's switch to 150. Almost no smaller ones, yeah, but that's another big one over there, very impressive. Again, it might be due to, like the way that it's constructed. Maybe the small ones are just hiding. This is a very rich, like a mixture, like in, but still, enough to, okay, so here we see many more smaller ones actually, which is nice. But and the huge one, another huge one. Okay, so we already seen that. So okay, can we complain? It's just what we want according to symbolic language. We cannot complain. Seems that but now we don't have the smaller ones. So there is also the question, like, what do we prefer, like many smaller ones, or like huge ones? But we wanted huge ones for the Colosseum. So I guess that's a success. like, a perfect mixture would have been a mixture that, like it was a variety, like both huge ones and smaller ones, but that's not what we asked, right? So we cannot complain. Okay. So we can ask why it's not same from yesterday. So because it's not the same, first of all, it's not the same container, and also, I mean, much of it's used by, it's like a crucible, so much of the material is burned all the time, especially on the top, and the layer, mostly taking, the samples from the top, and it's always burned. So most of what we've seen, in the very rich mixture from yesterday was just burned, as part of the football game, that is played like around the clock, as which is a shame, but that's the way it is. So it's not like, a surprise that, we don't see the fleet from yesterday, because the fleet from yesterday was just evaporated and was replaced with another fleet that, pretty much followed the commands. So, okay, not terrible. And also kind of according to the symbolic language. Let's just see what we have with the other container that is similar but with much more sodium bicarbonate. This one is kind of thick. I hope we'll be able to focus. I tried to do it like as thin as possible, but let's see what happens. Okay, 64 magnification. I smell shit, like, מאיפה זה מגיע הקקי הזה? אוקיי. שנייה. That's a nice one, and additional nice ones. Certainly, again, kind of a concentration on the bigger ones and not much smaller ones. These are medium size and certainly fat. Nice, that's a nice one. Nice kind of like, variety here. Yeah, so the symbolic language, works as intended. We cannot blame anything. If we really want a mix, what we need to do is probably store the result like somewhere like, not on the hot plate, and then do several more lightnings. This one with the symbolics of yesterday. That's probably what I'll do. So we'll have like a mixture of both bigger ones and smaller ones. I guess, it's like it's better than what you see here, because this one kind of like was diluted with a lot of else in Y, in order to be able to actually, to actually like glue it, like, to do the cover to the glass, so it was diluted much. Even though we still see Nero, no doubt, and again, concentration on the very big ones, all the fat ones. Okay, so that's interesting. So let's take a look now on the two samples from like the smaller container. This one is like much less material, but always things that need to be replenished, because it's like always just burned. So let's see if we manage to do anything good with that. It's a little thinner because it's mostly oil, unlike the other containers that are kind of like a mixture. So it's probably it will be visibility will be better, I guess, because it's mostly oily stuff and not much of the other things. Like so we should be better visibility. That's the slide. '64 magnification as usual. We've seen almost nothing. So what happens actually is that probably everything was burned, because several times, that's a nice one, several times, like, it's burned completely. It burned completely, almost completely. And I just need to replenish all the oil, because it's so small, So because of that, probably just, everything, was just evaporated or used in the football. And there were no neros, just, that to help, to actually do the work. The crucible approach is problematic, because you always need to take care of it. It will just not evaporate. It's kind of like that's why we use the high containers, so the rationalize that the lower depths will still will not be evaporated and will be used for the creation, while the higher layers will be used for the football. But with the tuna can, we only have just we have only the higher. We have smaller ones. It's not a viable, it's not an impressive thing. We don't see very big ones, and we don't see almost no smaller ones. So yeah, I would say yes. The tuna can is not it's not like the correct way to go, because it's so volatile. And it's always need to replenish the thing. If you remember, what I suggested is to use something like that, like the tuna can, like later in the energizing way, phase, like to use the big ones for the creation, and then when you see this is created, switch it to the tuna can. But the problem is, and maybe do a short, eventually, what we wanted is to be able to energize the neros that are on the slides. And for that, we need to get their counterparts, like the one that they are paired to. But how can you do that? So, like we've done with the DC over here, you need to create neros and to bring together, the newly created, with the assumption that the newly created are matched to each other. But this is a little bit more difficult, this way with the crucible approach, because. In the bigger container, like in larger can, like you can't energize, you cannot know, yes, the counterparts will be in the bigger ones, the ones for the slide, the ones on the slide will have matching to the ones in the bigger container, but you cannot energize all of it. I need to think about some more, maybe run a few tests. Like the toolkit approach, is definitely problematic for long-term burnings. But maybe it's better, so maybe we prepare some more mixtures. We're not ready for the cold seam yet. We need to work a little bit more. I'll do it now. what I will do is, first of all, yes, try to kind of like separate the biggers and the smallers and then mix it together. So, and that's what we'll use in the Colosseum. And also, not use the tuna can, but maybe like do kind of like, like a very short kind of fire, with the tuna can, like just before we use it, in like for the energizing, like in order to maximize like the energized possibilities. But first of all, let's try to get like a better mixture, like because we want, what we want actually is what we've seen today. I mean, mixed with what we've seen yesterday. Like we want both the great kind of like multiplicity, like the great variety and like just quantity of the smaller ones, but we also want the starship that we've seen today. So that will be the next that's the next step, and I'll hopefully taking into effect the football and the Nazis. I'll try to work on that even this evening to have like the perfect mixture, and then we'll do like the germs things. But we'll still have like another kind of like something from the tuna can. Maybe it will be more interesting. Okay, 64 magnification, and immediately not impressing from the first, look. We see smaller ones, here and there, but not very impressive. Pretty much the same. Yeah, so it just burned, and and everything was evaporated, and then you add the oil, but I mean there are no workers. Same as the other one. Oh, here we see a little bit was like, I would say small to medium size. I mean, it's not like all done, but it's not a way to go, the tuna can. We need a bigger container, definitely. I mean, it should be both like, deep and also, wide. Like with interesting radius to get like, the variety that we want. Here we see some more actually, let's zoom in. So we use, I mean, it's not like terrible, but it's not amazing, and we want what what we want is what we had yesterday. Okay, so that's one is actually very nice, very fat, very nice Nero. You see like you see the tube, like like the ring. It is kind of, that's a very nice one, very nice big one. This one is the huge one that is created, in the creation. I'm not sure. I guess it's like a dud, that was not created completely. Well, so you see a little bit more. This is all 150. That's another very impressive one. So it's not terrible, but it's just, I mean. So yeah, what I think is that we will use the tuna can construction again, but only like after we have like a good mixture, and it's kind of like like in like a very controlled, like relatively short burst of like fire, and this will be like another step before the Colosseum, but after we already have like a good mixture that should be created in the bigger containers, and I mean bigger containers. With and without magnification layer, and then combining to have like like the optimum. I mean it should be still proven that this is actually the optimal mixture. I mean maybe it's not. Maybe the just bigger ones are better. But I mean it's like a long held conjecture that I have, that I mean that a good mixture Like generally, a good mixture is one that you have both the smaller and the bigger ones for for different kind of like jobs. Also for the Colosseum, because probably the Colosseum, I mean, we still don't know how it's constructed. That it might it might we might have both all sorts of like monsters and maybe like smaller bugs. So a good guess is that you want like a mixed fleet, like with all sorts of like ships. And so this is nice actually. We need like a nice fleet. We do definitely want like the huge amount of the smaller ones that we've seen yesterday, and we'll work, that will be what I'll focus next. Just this is what C600 Magnification. That's actually nice. We see that very nice. In the 600, they're still not. Compared to what you have in your body, these are still very big, by the way. Even it's all very, as they say, הכל יחסי. יחסית למה שלכם בגוף אלה עצומים. אבל יחסית למה שאנחנו רוצים, זה לא כל כך עצומים. So it's like 600 Magnification. We see quite a bit of Neros actually, which is interesting. Let's touch the slide. Yeah. So it seems to me that, we still have smaller ones, but not. It's not impressive enough, I would say, to go with that. We need we need more work to have a very good mixture that is very that is like fit for the Colosseum, to be able to withstand any battle, both against monsters and just go both the trolls, the goblins, the hobgoblins, the dragons, the balrog, everything. That's what we want. That's what we are aiming for. So I'll work on that. Okay. Overall, not great result, but consistent with what with symbolic language, which is what we wanted, what we asked for. We cannot blame the Neros. And consistent with what I know about the tuna can, that it was several times burned completely, and I had to replenish not completely. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to see anything. We've seen quite a bit, but it was burned no oil, liquid oil was left. Just all sorts of kind of like wet remnants. So it mostly evaporated. Okay, so we have a good plan for the next steps, and after once we are done with that, again, maybe it's like a germ microscopy without any needles, and then combine the things probably in the Petri dish.